What is up, everybody? This is Lyle with No Hippie Barbecue, and what I'm be doing today, I have a lot of people telling me, Lyle, we like to cook all this meat. We want to do it somewhat similar to the way you do, but we don't have a smoker, we don't have a grill. So I'm doing a couple of these different cuts of meat, and I'm going to be doing them indoors. Now, I just did skirt steak. You know, that skirt steak, that was all for me, and I cooked that a little bit more rare. This is probably going to be more towards the medium side. The rub I'm going to be using, I had another YouTube channel, Howlin' Smoke Barbecue. What's up, Leland? Sent me a couple rubs. He sent me one of his homemade smoky barbecue coffee rub. And I tasted this, and real heavy kind of a paprika with some undertones of the coffee rub in there. Anyway, a good tasting rub. His wife has heart problems, so he can't use a lot of salt. But you know what? To me, it seemed like it was kind of on the border where you might want to add some salt. But he sent me this other stuff from Sure Shot Sid's. I think that's the name of it. And it's called gunpowder seasoning. And I cannot for my life try to explain the way this stuff tastes to you. But it's basically called a charcoal smoky flavor. And it's a real fine, like almost a fine powder. That's what we're going to use for our rubs. And we are going to rub the outside of the meat with some extra virgin olive oil. This is going to have a chance to sit for about 5 hours before we get cooking. I'm going to pull it out of the refrigerator with about an hour and a half just to get it to room temperature. But anyway, why don't you guys come on in and take a look at this cut of meat, and then we'll go from there. I got this. It's a 2-pound tri-tip, and I got it for $3.99 a pound, and it is USDA choice. It looks pretty good. We're going to open that up in a little bit. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to really see this rub, but that's the coffee rub. And then this other rub, this gunpowder rub, that's kind of what that's looking like. So it almost, like, it's almost like a grayish kind of a look, but this stuff has some awesome flavor. I think it's going to go well with Leland's rub. What I did off camera, this really didn't have a fat cap on the bottom, which is good. I'm not really a huge fan of a fat cap, but there was some obvious kind of fat chunks and a little bit of that real thin kind of a silver skin. I did go ahead and remove that. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take this olive oil, real thin layer, just something to give this rub something to stick onto, and we are going to rub this down with it. Now, I am using my bare hands, and there has been a little bit of a debate in the cooking community about this. I haven't had any comments on my page about using my bare hands, but I do have something I want to show you in a little bit. So the first thing I'm going to do, now that we have it rubbed down with with the olive oil, we're going to go over it with this gunpowder seasoning. Feel free to just use salt and pepper if you'd like. And we're not going to go too heavy on that, just a nice little dusting. And I'm not, let's see. Yeah, so nice dusting, then we're going to kind of come back over it a little bit heavier with Leland's smoky rub, or coffee rub. And I will be putting a link to his channel in the iCard above and the description below. Run by there and take a look. He is putting out some good stuff. Here's something magical. I know that, you know, there's all these different things, wearing gloves, not wearing gloves, but there's this magical stuff, and I seem to find it every time I go to the store. No matter how many times I think they're going to run out, they always seem to have it. This stuff right here, and it comes in all different kind of brands. Soap. This stuff is good. So I'm going to suggest that you wash your hands with pretty much any brand of soap before or after you mess around with any meat, whether you're just rubbing stuff on there. Wash with soap before. When you're done, wash with soap after. I love you, soap. So here's how serious I am about food handling. Not only did I wash my hands, shaved my head, and took a shower. Anyway, this meat has had a chance to sit in the refrigerator for about 4 hours. I let it rest on the counter for about an hour so we're at room temperature. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this on a broiler pan. Now, typically what I would do is I would put a meat probe in this and probe it. But I'm assuming that if you guys are watching this for an oven baked recipe, you might not have a meat probe. So I'm going to use, hopefully you just have a regular meat probe. And this is about as, I guess, old school as you can get. Here's what I'm going to be probing the meat with. I'm going to throw this in the oven at 225 degrees on this broiler pan until we get to an internal temperature of 115 degrees. Now I just probed this, and like I said, I do not have my barbecue probe in here, but it looks like it's at about 112 degrees. What we're going to do now is, most ovens have a broil setting. What we're going to do is throw this in on broil, and we're going to go about, this is going to be kind of at your discretion, but I'm going to say about 3.5 to 4 minutes per side. Let me scoot that to the middle. And I have that on not the highest rack, but one rack lower than. Broil for 5 minutes on one side. Let's pull it out. What I want to do is temp it to kind of see where we are. And we are pretty high on temperature, so actually this may be closer to we may be on the road to medium on this one. Let's take a look at the other side. And I'm just going to use a knife to turn it over since it's what's available. You know what? The temperature gauge says one thing, but the softness says another thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, throw this back in, and we're just going to go 3 minutes on this just because the temperature gauge is reading kind of high. Just to get a little crust on it, and we should be good to go. 3 minutes, let's pull it out and see what it's looking like. Not quite the char we had on the first side. You know what, let's go ahead and temp it and see where we are. Yeah, we're about 140. You know what? Let me just throw it in for just a little bit longer. I'm going to throw it back in for another minute just to see if I can get a little bit more crust on it. Another minute and a half in, we're just going to go ahead, pull this out. Temperature should be fine on it. We're going to do, I could use tongs, but this knife is a little bit closer. We're just going to throw it on this foil over here, and we're just going to wrap it. Not a simple wrap, just kind of a loose wrap. And we're going to let that sit for about 10-15 minutes. Then we will cut into it. What we're going to be doing with this is we're going to be making some tacos, which isn't necessarily part of this video, but just so you can have a reference as to what I'm trying to accomplish. We've let this tri-tip rest about 10-12 minutes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and drain off this liquid just in case we want to dip some of that in there later, because it has all that good rub on there. And now we are going to go ahead and cut it. Looks like the grains are kind of running this way. So let's just kind of cut it kind of at a bias along this direction. Like I said, this is going to be for some tacos. And I'm going to say this is a good medium right here. It may, well, here we go. We're getting kind of into that more medium rare kind of down in here. So anyway, here's what we're looking like. You know, let's go a little bit further. Now this is what I'm about right here. So you know what, let's go ahead and taste this. Tri-tip has pretty much all different spectrums of doneness. We've gone kind of from medium, almost to medium well on the end, or on both ends. And then in the middle, we have kind of what I'm looking for, which is more of a medium rare. So what I'm going to do is taste this portion of it, kind of see what that rub is all about, and then we'll go from there. I'm not even gonna lie, this stuff is excellent. You know, come here, Frankie. Since I don't have Mason in the taste test, and you know I'm all about having animals in my videos, I'm just joking. Anyway, Frankie, you want to give your little seal of approval? I think she likes it too. Anyway, thanks for stopping by No Hippie Barbecue. Comment, subscribe, and I'm out.